Okay, you got a cubic polynomial, general shape of it, sort of like this over here. When I say general, this is a general shape of it. It's positive coefficient. I'm definitely going to get a root. I know that much. And certainly, the car rule of signs, things like that. This one's a little bit tricky. But when I say it's tricky because the roots are kind of like really close together. All right, but if you use discard rule of signs, let me just put this plus, plus, minus, minus, and s equals 1, so I have one positive root, right? And, if you look for it, say it's not that bad to look for. So if you do f of 0, that's clearly negative, right? And then, you could, if you don't want to bound it between integers, you can maybe do another integer, but, if you did f of 1, what's f of 1 going to be? Clearly negative. And say, am I going to keep going through the integers? You could. You could keep doing it over and over again, one integer after another. But I got to start to realize that the number's got to be larger, right? So what I want to do is I want to go to 4. I'm having some sense that something's going to happen around 4. And 4, I'm looking at it. Let me write this down for you. This is number 4. This is what I'm doing. I was looking at this for a second, and that's the wrong place to look. So what'd you get? You would get 64 minus 16 minus 60 minus 28. It's clearly negative. All right? Let me go to f of 5, though. By the way, at some point, the cube's going to take off. 125, 25, minus 75, minus 28. Clearly positive. All right? Clearly positive. So I know there's a root on the interval between 4 and 5. All right? Now, I'm going to just, rotate the curve. Rotate the curve. And by rotating the curve, and this is tricky. When I say rotate the curve, I want to get those negative roots to become positive. So I'm going to evaluate f of minus x. All right, again, don't be discouraged if this is a troublesome problem. It is. What are you going to get? Negative x cubed plus x squared plus 15x minus 28. So you get minus, plus, plus, minus. What do you get here? Well, you get 1 there, and you get 1 here. So s equals 2. All right, s equals 2. What does it mean? The root could be either 0 or 2. All right, now it's a cubic polynomial. It is possible that I get a picture like this over here, where there's one positive root between 4 and 5, and the thing never pokes its way back again. All right? But I want to talk about why this is so tricky. All right? So I want to point out why it's so tricky. Let me go to the graph and tell you why it's so tricky. If you were just to play with integers, right, what would you find? At minus 1, it would be negative. At minus 2, it would be negative. And minus 3, it would be negative. You would never see this. You would never see that change signs. And you would say, I keep going. Then you would start to realize it was negative. So I could understand if you're using the intermediate value theorem, and of course we're always using integers, by the way, and you might say that's because the problems are written that way. They are. But the bottom line is you would have missed this one. Right? You would have definitely missed that. All right? You would have definitely missed that one. And why is that? If you zoom in there, look at it. There are 2 roots over there. And don't be discouraged by that a lot of times. You think the analysis, which really brings me to a point that you really should be thinking about, reasoning skills certainly are important. But I think more than reasoning, I think probably you should be thinking about using tools. All right? What kind of tools are we talking about? I'm not saying Sturm's theorem is a bad tool to be using. It's not. What I'm thinking, and by the way, it's still difficult. If you think the intermediate value theorem was tough picking numbers, this is really tough. So, and I go through the work for you. But the bottom line is, it's really tough, all right? And that's why tools can make life a lot easier. Here's the deal, though. If you're using a tool inappropriately, you may miss this thing over here. So you need to learn how to use a tool. Right? How do you learn how to use tools? You play with them. All right. Now these are not dangerous tools. You're not going to cut your fingers off. Play with the tool. Start to look around, and you're going to start to see behavior when you start using those tools. But again, I can understand people missing that if they're not using a tool. All right. Thank you.